Welcome back into Grand Slam Sports. I'm Jace Hodge, your host. Left of me is Charles Foster. Over the side desk is Jackson Strasburger. Guys, we'll get right into things with the NFL. Thursday Night Football last night, the Commanders, the Packers, and guys, the Packers, they look really good. That defensive front, they get the win 27-18. Thoughts on the Packers' victory as they begin the year 2-0?
Yeah, and as we look at this Packers team, I mean, this is a Packers team that has been really surprising me these first 2 weeks, going in against two playoff opponents and winning in pretty respectable fashion here. And we saw this team, we saw Daniels was pressured a lot of the game. We saw he was pressured on 49% of his dropbacks, and that's something that we don't normally get to see from Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels normally very calm, gets the opportunity to do what he wants in the pass game, and this game just was not that.
Yeah, like you said, this Commanders offense has been one of the best offenses last year. Jaden Daniels, his first year in the league, was fantastic, and it's just been completely different. Not using Terry McLaurin as much, going to Debo, but Austin Eckler wasn't his best, and it's just been struggling offensively. And I think that's a big part of who they played. The Packers defense looked fantastic. Like you said, not really, you're getting back there, but not blitzing a whole ton, just still able to beat the offensive line.
And how about the guy we see right there on the screen, Tucker Kraft? A huge game for the Packers tight end as he went off. Jordan Love gave him the ball, and Tucker Kraft, he had a touchdown, 6 receptions, 124 yards on the day. How much of an impact is he making on this offense when you add him to the weapons they already had in the receiving room?
I mean, tight ends are like, they're the safety blankets. They're the ones that you kind of get to see, anytime a quarterback needs that option, they're open. And he was more than that. He was able to run routes with the big guys. He was able to get himself open, especially on that outside, while also finding room on the inside. Doing a really good job there, being very versatile. And I think that gives them more options, because this is a receiving room in Green Bay that isn't necessarily amazing. There's some good options there. But having a guy that could be a top 5, top 10 tight end is monumental for this team's success.
And guys, how good are the Packers really? Now you add Micah Parsons to this already good defensive front. You add him alongside Rashawn Gary as the two edge rushers. These Packers, they begin the year 2-0, beating the Lions, beating the Commanders, two real contenders from last season. So how good can this Packers team be, and are they a Super Bowl contender already?
Yeah, they've been fantastic. It's only been 2 weeks, but they've beat two teams that we saw last year who had a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And they play just different. It's a different kind of football. I think Jordan Love's kind of settling in, figuring out who this team is, what he has. He has now weapons. He got Mbuka, who had a great first game, a rougher second, but he's still here. Not Mbuka. Their rookie.
Golden.
Matthew Golden. I lost his name. But he's been fantastic his first week. Had a little rough week last week. But this team's coming together.
And Charles, real quick for the Commanders, you see Austin Eckler go down with that torn Achilles, probably torn Achilles for Austin Eckler, and they have a problem offensively. They couldn't find McLaurin that much, and they were having some issues getting the ball to any receiving options, and the running game was not working either. Do you see this rookie running back, Krosky Merritt, being the main guy now for Washington? And what can they do on offense? Because they've been struggling offensively.
I do believe that Krosky Merritt is that guy. I think we saw it in the preseason that he can be that guy. He kind of reminds me of a little bit of a Jordan Mason situation with the 49ers, where he's that rookie that kind of comes in and shows himself off. And I think that he could totally be that guy. And this is an offense that I do not think struggled because of themselves as much as they struggle because they're going against a really good defense. I think Debo Samuel did a really good job getting open in the first game. We saw how amazing he played that first game. I think the growing pains are going to happen. You got now a new running back and now a hurt running back as well, and a new receiver in that situation. That right there, in my opinion, is just trying to find those growing pains are going to happen. I think they'll be just fine.
And we look into the Week 1 matchups. We saw some new faces and some new places, namely a lot of quarterbacks changing teams, or even some rookie quarterbacks making their first appearance of the season. We're going to talk a little bit about our favorite quarterbacks and how they did in their first game. Charles, beginning with you.
I'm going to go with Justin Fields. It might be a little bit biased. I'm a Jets fan. I think it's pretty obvious. But at the same time, we looked at a game that this is the best the Jets offense has looked, in my opinion, in years. We look at this Jets offense. With Justin Fields alone, he went 16 for 22 with 218 yards and 3 total touchdowns. We saw that, they scored 32 on a team with the most all-pro selections in the entire league. That's not something that you get to see very often. And then you also saw this was 400 all-purpose yards, because Justin Fields also opens up the run game from his threat on the legs as well. We saw it with their touchdown later on in the game. where we saw that read option where he was just wide open because they're so scared of Breece Hall or Braylon Allen. So having so many running options is going to make Justin Fields play so well, and then having Garrett Wilson as well, a receiver that he's already played with, I think is going to really help.
See, I want to go with a guy that is a little less mobile, but threw the ball, I think, for the most passing yards of any quarterback this week, and that's Geno Smith. This guy had a really good game against New England, over 300 passing yards, touchdown. He had that one pick, but it wasn't really his fault. Got kind of tipped in the air off the hands of the receiver. But Geno Smith, I wasn't sure how to feel about him going from Seattle to Las Vegas, but you give him his old head coach in Pete Carroll, and Smith, he loves to throw the ball, and his options, they were there. Jacoby Myers was there consistently. Brock Bowers, obviously, already a top tight end in the NFL. And, he found his guys. They got the win. He looked pretty good in that game.
But I went about this a little differently. You guys went to quarterback or two switch teams. I went to a guy who got his first start in the NFL, J.J. McCarthy. I mean, starting this game, I don't think anybody thought this was how it's going to end. It looked like the Bears were going to run this game, run down the field, and then that fourth quarter hit, where basically all of J.J. McCarthy's stats. He gets 2 touchdowns and 1 rushing, and they're able to win the game. And I've just said the winners win sometimes, and J.J. McCarthy did that this week.
And some other guys who we didn't mention who are on the screen behind us right now, Aaron Rodgers and Daniel Jones, both had really good games for the Steelers and Colts, respectively. So a lot of new guys in new places and a lot of good performances from these new quarterbacks in week number 1.
Yeah, and we're actually going to go right into talking about Aaron Rodgers and what he did as we look at our first segment of the Foster 5 throughout the season. So this Foster 5 will be dedicated to the most disappointing performances from week 1. At number 5, I have the entire Jets defense. The Jets defense put off an atrocious first performance as we saw a team like the Jets put up 400 yards and still allow a loss. They got pieced up by Aaron Rodgers. That right there was the biggest problem for me. That's why they're at number 5.
Yeah, they struggle definitely. I mean, you have high expectations coming into the year, obviously with Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, but then they struggled against a Aaron Rodgers who did not look good as a Jet last year.
No. At number 4, we are going to quarterback route. We have Bryce Young. Bryce Young had a pretty rough game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and some people are going to start questioning, is the Bryce Young era over? Do they continue to go with him? What do you feel?
Yeah, it's hard to judge that game. I mean, you have an hour delay, or probably longer than that in a Jacksonville game with the rain, and he's on a rough team as well. It's so many factors against him. I can't blame Bryce Young for that loss.
All right. At number 3, we have Russell Wilson. Once again, the debate's already happening. Is Jackson Dart that guy? Is Jackson Dart the one that they keep at quarterback? Jason, turn to you. How are you feeling about Russell Wilson's week 1 performance?
Yeah, it wasn't great. I never thought the Giants should have gone this route. I mean, obviously, I think Jackson Dart is the future in New York, but I don't think he's going to be ready yet. But I would have preferred a guy like Jameis, who has proven that he can throw a ball. I mean, even if it's not great, but Russell Wilson just can't anymore. Russell Wilson just doesn't have that mojo he had back in Seattle, in the Seattle days.
All right, number 2, we have the entire Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions struggled. They went from being close to a Super Bowl to getting smacked by the Packers. What are our thoughts? Do we start raising the panic alarms, or is this something that, week 1 growing pains we can look past?
I drafted most of the Detroit Lions for fantasy, and they let me down. I mean, just one of the best offenses last year, thinking they were going to go back, do this consistency that they have. They just lost a coordinator, and it just completely changes the entire scene, and they just did not look good.
And, for the Lions, they lose their coordinators. I mean, especially Ben Johnson. Him leaving is going to have a real impact on this Lions offense, and it showed week 1. Obviously, they're going to have some growing pains under a new offense, so we'll see how that goes for the Lions. But, I mean, week 1, you go against one of the best defenses in the NFL out of the gates. It was going to be a difficult task either way.
And number 1, a team that you were very familiar with, the entire Mike McDaniels era has been going down the wayside. The Dolphins have not looked good since their hiring of Mike McDaniels. And how do you feel? Obviously, you were at the game. Yeah. How do you feel? What does the Dolphins need to do to make themselves relevant, if anything?
Not much they can do right now. Tua is not going to be the guy. Tua is not the guy. I mean, he was before he had all this, injury problems, concussion issues. Tyreek Hill's got to go. He's going to request a trade sooner rather than later because he wants to be on a competitive team. He's getting older. He's losing some of that speed he has. The Dolphins' defense is just not good. Their defensive back room is atrocious, to say the least. They lost their starter, who was Storm Duck. Yeah, Storm Duck, that's his name. They lost their starter. He was undrafted. They lost him in the third quarter, and they have guys I've never heard of playing defensive back. So it's going to be a tall task for Miami. They have, I think, a full rebuild incoming.
Yeah, I think that right there is the Foster 5 for this first week. We will have a new one every single week to talk about and see what is going on. But now we're going to look at the game that we're going to have on Sunday Night Football. The Dirty Birds are going against the Vikings. Jace, what are your opening thoughts about this game?
It'll be interesting. I mean, we also obviously saw McCarthy in week number 1 in Chicago pull out a victory. He didn't start the game too hot, but he pulled out the victory. And for the Vikings, they definitely have a squad. I mean, obviously you pair Justin Jefferson with any quarterback, he can make about anyone look good. But I liked what I saw from Jordan Mason in that week number 1 game as well. But for the Falcons, they looked good for the most part until obviously Younghoe Koo missed that game-tying field goal. They could have won that game. They should have won that game as you're seeing right now against Tampa Bay. And Penix, honestly, he played pretty well. Almost 300 passing yards, a touchdown on the day. The concern for me was the rushing game. Both Bijan and Algier only got 24 yards on the day, but Bijan and Pitts out of the receiving room both played pretty well.
Yeah, this one's a tough one to really pick. It's two teams that I feel like they're meant for a good matchup here. You got two young quarterbacks getting their first real chance leading a team. I mean, it's different when you step in midway through the season like Michael Penix did and McCarthy being hurt all last year. But now I feel like it's the time. Who's going to have their breakout game today? You've got these great quarterbacks, young. It's one of them's going to have a good game. And I think it's going to be J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings.
Speaking of that quarterback matchup, this is a rematch of the 2023-2024 National Championship quarterback matchup. So pretty big implications here between J.J. and Penix. And as we look at this, I had these two written down on my original predictions for the season. These two teams were the two teams that I was tossing up between who would be that last wild card spot. And I really think that the wild card could consist of either a Falcons run or a surprise Vikings run. I think that this game would be very telling of if that is the case, because we look at this here. I mean, it was just such a good game from the Falcons in so many ways. Penix looked good. He almost threw 300 yards against a pretty solid team. And as we see, you know, the Vikings defense was just suffocating at many times. And I want to say that the Vikings are going to take this one out, but I'm going to have to go with the Dirty Birds. I'm taking the Falcons on this game.
I think the Falcons present a little bit too much offensively for the Vikings. I'm also going to take Atlanta in this ball game, Jackson.
Yeah, I said I'm taking the Vikings. I just like their offense a little more than I like Atlanta's. I think they can overpower the defense. And after last week, they're running on that high. I feel like they're going to be great this weekend.
Yeah, so the NFL officially underway, 1 week under our belts, including the Thursday Night Football game just last night. But now we'll get to a sport that has some playoffs on tap. The WNBA, that'll be up next on Grand Slam Sports. Let's talk some WNBA for the first time here on Grand Slam Sports. The playoff bracket officially unveiled last night, but we're going to look into the MVP and whether Nafisha Collier is going to win her first ever MVP. Charles, what are your thoughts on Collier's season? The Lynx finished the year first in the WNBA. She had a really good year.
Collier has been amazing. I mean, she has been, in my opinion, one of the best players in the league. Obviously, it's why she's having that MVP debate. And we've seen it now. She just went under 23 points a game. She's averaging 7.3 rebounds and 3 assists a game, while still averaging 1.5 steals a game. I mean, she is a menace on the defensive end. She's the best player on the best team in the league. And I think that she has been phenomenal. I mean, she has looked very good. She missed 7 games earlier this season. I think that is one of the biggest things that could tie her down. But I mean, like I said, best player, best team. It's a hard debate to go against Collier.
Yeah, I mean, for me, her most impressive part of her game is her offense. She's very good on offense. These last 10 or so games, she kind of dipped down below her stats where she was to begin with. But she's on a very, very good Lynx team that has plenty of talent around her, which makes her, I mean, that team was phenomenal. 34-10 on the year the Lynx finished the season, but Collier by herself is a really good player.
Yeah, and we look at it, just became just the second player ever to put up a 50-40-90 season, and she looked really, really good in that aspect. But we're going to bring up the debate. A'ja Wilson has had a phenomenal season as well. She started off a little bit slower at some points. However, A'ja Wilson and the Aces are the hottest team in the league right now, and it's not even close.
They've won 16 games in a row. That's almost unprecedented in almost any sport. That's insane stuff. And A'ja Wilson, she has looked really good. I mean, she's won MVPs before for a reason. She's averaging 23-10 a game. That's some great stuff, and she's been the leader on this Aces team who's figured things out. You know, under head coach Becky Hammond, this team was accustomed to being really good at basketball. They began the year 14-14, but then A'ja Wilson took over this Aces squad and has become dominant. She's dominant on offense and on defense. She's a very well-rounded player, and this Aces team with her is phenomenal.
Yeah, A'ja Wilson, arguably one of the best WNBA players ever, and she is having a season to prove it. Just has looked absolutely phenomenal here. And as you mentioned, I mean, 2 very different positions.
Yeah.
2 very different situations now, as the Aces started off very not good. How much does this last a month and a half of play, where they have won 16 games in a row, dictate if A'ja Wilson can steal this from Nafisa?
I think it does a lot because I think recency bias is a real thing. And, look at the Aces. Obviously, they trade Kelsey Plum to Los Angeles. That's a big loss for them. They had to figure things out, what they were going to do without Kelsey Plum. And Asia Wilson, she was there to begin the year, but she really took over these last 18, 16 games or so. So I think that might catapult her into that MVP, winning her 4th MVP over Collier.
Yeah, and we've seen it now. Alyssa Thomas was in that running, has since fallen out of it since the Mercury have not looked amazing lately. So, Alyssa Thomas, shout out to her, but it will be going to one of those two, I think. If I was a betting man, I'd bet on that.
You have a pick?
I'm going to go Nafisa Collier.
Yeah.
I think the fact that she's not won one yet is going to, propel her, and the fact that she has had more of a consistent season than Asia, who has only really been good the second half.
I'm going to go with recency bias. I think Asia Wilson has proven time in, time out that she is the best player in the WNBA. I think, once again, this 16-game winning streak is going to catapult her into the MVP for the 4th time of her career. But now let's look into the playoffs and begin with the Minnesota Lynx here. The Lynx are facing the 8-seed Golden State Valkyries. The Valkyries, the first team in WNBA, the first team, expansion team since 2008 to make the playoffs, I should say. So the Lynx, the Valkyries is that first matchup we'll see in the WNBA playoffs. I think the Lynx are the big-time favorite here, though.
Yeah, Lynx are the favorite in almost any series that they play in. I think they will be the favorite in any series they play in until they go against the Aces. We're just looking at this series here. Like you mentioned, the Valkyries have really, really surprised a lot of people being in their first season. But as we look back, this is just a Lynx team that they're complete. We see Kayla McBride's averaging 15 points. We see Collier is averaging 23. Courtney Williams is averaging 14. This is a team that is just far and away way better than the Valkyries. Give me the Lynx.
One I'm a little bit more interested in is the 2-7 matchup, the Las Vegas Aces and the 7-seeded Seattle Storm. The Storm come into the year obviously having championship aspirations. They've kind of fallen down a little bit, but they make a trade midseason for another player. But the Aces are definitely the favorite here. They've won 16 games in a row for a reason. But the Storm will have something to say about this series, won't they?
And as we're looking at this, we see a Storm team, in my opinion, I'm not a fan of. I'm just not a fan of this Storm team, and I think the Aces are going to clear this one. I think it's going to be pretty easy. The Storm team, there's a lot of holes. They traded for Brittany Sykes at the trade deadline. I think it did help them, but the Aces, they're on fire, and they've just been better.
Now the hometown team here in Indianapolis, the Indiana Fever, they are the 6th seed. They'll face off against the 3-seed Atlanta Dream. The Dream and Fever have split the season series 2 apiece, but the Indiana Fever, they have a lot of injuries that they're trying to overcome. They have 5 season-ending injuries so far this season, including star guard Caitlin Clark. So for the Fever, how can they overcome that and face off against the Dream?
The Dream are my least favorite of the top teams, and I think that to me is what gives the Fever a chance. But while I say that the Dream are my least favorite of the top 4 teams, the Fever are my least favorite of the bottom 4 teams. I don't like this Fever team right now. Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston have looked really good, but as we look at this team, it's just not enough to be the Dream, in my opinion, especially without Caitlin Clark on the floor.
And finally, the 4 and 5 matchup is the Phoenix Mercury and the defending WNBA champion, the New York Liberty. We know what the Liberty can do. Obviously, they're 5th, but they have a heck of a squad, a stacked squad at that, with Sabrina Ionescu leading that team. But the Mercury, they're not too shabby either. They're 4 seed. They're kind of that sneaky 4 seed, if anything.
I don't like this Liberty team in the playoffs as much as many people would. I am a big fan of this Phoenix Mercury team. I think Alyssa Thomas has been the best forward in the league. I think that we have seen Satu Sabali look really good in many aspects, and Kalia Copper, when she's playing good, when she's healthy, has been very good. And Ionescu has not been as impressive as I've once saw and as much as I want. Brianna Stewart, she's been injured a lot of the year, but when she has been on the floor, she has been good. But these past few games, she started to become a little bit more human. So I think that will be the biggest, question is, can those stars ball out? But for now, I got Phoenix.
And looking into the season series there, Phoenix leads that one 3-1, but in the only game they played where they're both healthy, New York did win that ball game. Charles, I'll ask you before we transition, do you have an early pick here for the WNBA champion?
An early pick for WNBA champion, I got to go with the Aces. Hot teams win, and they're hot. And I think that they're going to come back and win that.
I'm going to concur. Last year, falling short, but the Aces, they've been here, they've done that, and they are hotter than can be. I'm also going to take Las Vegas to win the WNBA title this year. Now we're going to look into a team who didn't make the playoffs in the Chicago Sky, only 10 wins this year, Angel Reese. There's a problem there in Chicago.
Yeah, just a little bit. The Bayou Barbie is not very happy in Chicago, and I think that's one of those things I want to see. It's drawing the interest because Angel Reese, you can say what you want about her, but she's a good player, and she's averaging a double-double. And now we're looking at a player here that is on the market more than likely, and where is she going to go? Because she's young, so it's not like she's guaranteed going to go to a top team. She could go to a smaller team that has picks to give. I mean, this is the best that the WNBA draft has looked in a while. 2 new teams are coming in Toronto and Portland, and so we're seeing these teams come in. We're seeing this draft become better than ever. I think that this is one of those times where Angel Reese has potential to be one of the most impactful trades that we've seen early on.
I mean, in the Sky, they came into the year thinking we can be a playoff team. We can be a contender. But then, it just never works out. Angel Reese obviously has a phenomenal year. She is a great player with, what she can do in the post, all the rebounds that she can grab. But for her, is Chicago the right fit, or do you think she will have to leave?
No, she needs to leave Chicago. Chicago is, they kind of draft the what I call the shinies. They've always had a habit of drafting the players that are like super popular in college, and I feel like that kind of comes off as not the way that it needs to be. I mean, this is a team with Haley Van Lith. This is a team with Cardoso. This is a team with Reese. I mean, this is that team that they draft every single popular player in college, and it's just, to me, it's just not working. The Sky have just not looked good. I think the only real plus side of the Sky this season outside of Angel Reese has been Rachel Banham. So, I mean, you look at this team, it's just not been a lot of positive. It's time for Angel Reese to move on and be on a contender, because she could really be a top center in this league on a good team. Yeah,
we'll see if she does get moved. The WNBA, though, in the playoffs for the time being before we get to the offseason conversations. But another sport that's nearing the playoffs is Major League Baseball, and the MVP race in the AL also heating up. We'll get into those conversations when we come back here on Grand Slam Sports. Baseball is winding down, only a few series left for each team before playoffs are upon us. But now let's look into the MVP race in the AL, especially Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, the 2 main contenders for the MVP in the American League. They're both hitting home runs at a very elite level, but the debate is really 50-50 split whenever you look anywhere.
It's the best MVP debate that I've seen in a minute. I mean, we saw the Mookie Betts Acuna one. That was another good one as well. But this one right here has some potential, because we're looking at Raleigh. More homers, more RBIs, worse batting percentage and OPS. However, he switch hits and plays catcher, while Judge is playing in the outfield at a little bit less meaningful position. This is a very meaningful MVP conversation here. And we look at Raleigh, right? He has 53 homers and 113 RBIs to Judge's 46 and 100 RBIs. But he is just the 3rd ever switch hitter to hit 50 homers and the 1st ever switch hitting catcher to do it. So, pretty big stuff.
And I know I'm going to sound like a homer by saying this, but I think Aaron Judge is the MVP. Obviously, I'm a Yankees fan. Let's just, get that out there first before I say any more. But Aaron Judge, this guy is the best hitter in baseball. 322 average. He was above 400 for quite some time to begin the season. And this guy, he missed like 10 or so games due to that elbow injury. And without that, he's right up there in contention for those home runs and RBIs. And Judge is way ahead of Raleigh in almost every category except those home runs and RBIs. This guy is the best hitter in baseball, the most valuable player in baseball, and he means more than anything to the Yankees.
Yeah, so out of those 2, I would pick Aaron Judge. I think he's just hitting better. Home runs aren't everything in this case, and he's hitting better. But since the All-Star game, both of them are hitting below 250, and even worse since September. So what if I told you there's a player who's hitting a little worse than Judge, playing the best defense in the league right now, with the best speed we've ever seen? Bobby Witt Jr. right now is hitting 293, slashing 293, 350, and 497 with 21 home runs and 35 stolen bases. While doing this, he also has the highest outs above average, tied with Mason Wynn, and he is 3rd in Fangraphs defensive saved runs, however they word their thing, behind 2 catchers, and they play just a better, bigger position in Patrick Bailey and Alejandro Kirk. So I'm just saying that when you look at somebody who's most valuable is the question, it's Bobby Witt Jr. He is doing the most for a team that isn't even in the playoffs right now, and the only reason they're in a contention spot is because of him.
How much, and that is a topic, and that kind of takes this conversation for a whirl a little bit, because we see that, yes, and he has been the most valuable player for their team, but at the same time, their team isn't even in a playoff spot. And you can argue that, yes, he's part of the reason that they're there, but you can also argue the fact that their pitching being so elite is the reason that they're there. And, we look at the Judge and the Raleigh debate, and the biggest question that I have, and the biggest thing that I think that differentiates these 2 teams, these 2 players specifically, and even Judge, is how much does a catcher How much does him being a catcher at an above-average level outvalue the slash line that Judge has?
I mean, I think it matters. I just think Judge is a level above Rowley when it comes to hitting, as a whole. Obviously, Rowley being a switch hitter, being a catcher, is something we've never seen before at the Major League Baseball level, but I just don't think it's enough to take him over the best hitter in all of baseball in Aaron Judge.
And see, what I've seen, and this is part of the reason why I'm not against the Whit pick. He's third for a reason. But what I've seen is there is an award for best hitters. It's called the Hank Aaron Award. Mm-hmm. But the best player overall, in my opinion, has been Cal Rowley. Yes, his average is not as high, but he plays the best position. He's the best catcher offensively ever this season, and he's playing the most important position on the field while doing it. I think that it's just a hard case to say that the most valuable overall player cannot be Cal Rowley. But Aaron Judge can have the Hank Aaron Award because he's definitely earned that. That's my opinion on it. I get both sides, so this is a very close debate as we look at it. But next, we're going to look at a little debate between specifically our two teams that we see a lot as well. The AL East race, the best race in all of baseball right now, not going the way that we thought it would. Did not think it would be this close, but goodness, has it been fun.
The Yankees were up by, 10 games about a few weeks before the All-Star break, and then things just start falling apart. The Jays get hot for whatever reason. Your pitching is rough recently, though. The Jays have had some pitching issues. You look at those two or three Reds games. They were both 10-plus runs for both teams.
Yeah, it's been rough in the pitching aspect at sometimes. But let's look at the Blue Jays pitching. Let's take a look at what happened last night. Kevin Gausman throwing a complete game shutout against the Astros. Yep. The pitching's starting to get there. Gausman's in playoff form. We're seeing Shane Bieber. He's actually getting an opportunity to play, and he's been okay when he's playing. And, this is a team that there's some growing pains. The bullpen has been absolutely atrocious this past few months. But Bo Bichette right now is currently fourth in MVP odds because he has been playing so phenomenal. He's currently hurt right now. Vladdy has one of the best hard-hit ball percentages that we've seen in a very long time. And this is a team that is starting to round out more. We've seen Barger play good. We've seen Kirk play good. We saw Santander last night in AAA hit an absolute missile. He's coming back soon, and that's someone that people have forgotten because he hasn't played this season. This is a Jays team that could be really scary, but, the Yankees, they're right behind.
You want to talk atrocious bullpens? Let's talk the Yankees then. The Yankees made, 3 trades at the deadline for some new pitchers with Camilo Doval, with David Bednar, multiple guys who have all had ERAs above 4 or 5. It's not great. And then you look at the acquisition in the offseason, Devin Williams, supposed to be, the next best closer in all of baseball. He was great in Milwaukee, comes to New York, and he can't pitch. This guy can't close a game out.
We look at the Red Sox.
Yeah, this team.
What is your thought about the Red Sox?
I mean, they're there, but I don't think they're really in this race. I feel like they're fighting for a different thing. They're fighting to get into the wild card. They just lost Roman Anthony, which is a big issue with them, but they have had the best closer in all of baseball in Chapman. He just allowed his first hit since the All-Star break. And then they have so many outfielders that this has been almost an issue that they've had. They've had 4 or 5 outfielders. They can start almost every day and will be starters on most teams that are batting above 250, hitting this OPS, getting on base, causing issues, but I just don't think they're there yet. I think they're missing a piece that they're just not going to be in this race. I feel like it's the Blue Jays to lose.
Yeah, I mean, when Boston traded Rafael Devers, I thought they were, done in the water. They weren't going to be a playoff team. They would be nowhere near the playoffs. But we've had guys like Jarren Duran, Trevor Story step up and be able to hit the baseball at high rates. And it's actually impressive for Boston doing this without, that stud player in Devers.
Agreed. I think that the losing Devers I thought would hurt a lot more, but it has not hurt nearly as much as I thought it would. Now we're going to look at Twitter, a new segment called Extreme Tweets, where we're going to be looking at different Twitter posts that we see every single week, or X posts for those that call it that, and posts that kind of make us think. The post that I saw this week said, Cade Horton has a .84 ERA in the second half of the season. Is he going to steal NL Rookie of the Year? I turn to you, Jace. How do you feel about that? Is it Drake Baldwin's, or could Cade Horton steal that from him?
Cade Horton is definitely up there. He's been impressive post All-Star break, but we've seen Baldwin consistently be good throughout the year. And I mean, it's a long shot as well, but I like Jacob Mizorowski. Mizorowski's been great for Milwaukee. Obviously, after the All-Star break, he hasn't been the guy that he can be. But we saw Mizorowski when he first came into this Brewers squad be able to pitch really well. That's kind of that 4th or 5th guy in the rotation. And I mean, he got named to the All-Star game for a reason, right?
Yeah, I mean, and we look at that. I ask you, what are your thoughts about it? I know you're not a big pitcher fan, definitely not a Cubs fan. What are your thoughts about Cade Horton stealing it?
It is so hard for a pitcher to win any award that is not a pitching award, especially Rookie of the Year, MVP. You just don't see it. and I can't. Cade has a 2.70 ERA, which isn't bad, but then you look at Drake Baldwin, who's sitting here slashing a 2.70, a 3.40, and a 4.38. He's got one of the best exit velo times in baseball right now, and he's playing elite defense. Again, we talk about this debate. What's more valuable, a pitcher or a catcher? In this case, a good defensive, good hitting catcher, I think, would be your best rookie.
And I think that's kind of the boat I'm on, too. I think as much as I love what Cade Horton's doing, he's currently marked as the betting favorite. So if you believe, I want to bet on Jake Baldwin. But Jake Baldwin, I do believe, is currently the one to lose it. I think that he is the best. I think that he should be the one to take this home. And Cade Horton has been having some late season magic, but cannot deny Jake Baldwin. He has been inevitable. Yeah,
I'm also going to take Drake Baldwin in this race. I believe that he has had the best overall season of any rookie in the NL. Well, that'll do it for today. We thank you for joining us once again here on Grand Slam Sports.